Hello, friend. The mystical American Aetherius Society is transmitting to you from beneath 4 million cubic feet of solid granite, in the burning heart of the Yellowstone caldera. This is a variety program for normal sandwich-eating Americans with some concerns about living in a deranged, post-Christian technocracy. So, keep your third eye on the sky and your ear to the ground, as Sumo and Smokestack connect your main brain vein to a higher plane. Are you ready? Stand by.
Those ocean waves.
They feel good, don't they?
They do. Hey, what do you give a sick lemon?
I don't know. What?
Lemonade. Get it?
Are you using the deep fake again?
No. I was just on my feed there, and I decided to relate it to you. Yeah, that's one of those jokes that you say when you're in like third grade or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell it to my kids after the show.
Yeah, tell them. Here's one you can tell your kids to give to their teacher. So when they first go to school on the first day back to school, if they're not in quarantine still, you say to the teacher, "Hey teacher, my math book is sad." She say, "What do you mean, little Timmy?" He say, "It has a lot of problems." And then she'll laugh.
Yep.
And then then she'll be in good graces. Your kid will be in good graces with her the rest of the year, and she can give him an apple. And then after she gets the apple, then she grades your test a little less harshly. And that's how you get through life.
I mean, it's a sound strategy.
Mm-hmm. It is. Do you know about the Nation of Islam?
Not really, no.
Well, the Nation of Islam, I was thinking a lot this week about UFO cults.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the basics of it. Farrakhan.
Yeah.
So Farrakhan in 1985, in September 15, 1985, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was taken up into the mother wheel.
Really?
In Mexico. Mm-hmm.
What was he doing in Mexico?
Well, he was on a pilgrimage with the Nation of Islam because they, like everyone else in America, they have to justify their religious beliefs by attending Native American sites with them. Just like everybody else, whether you're white, black, Mexican, or Chinese, you have to go to a Native American site, and that's where you have your vision. And so the Nation of Islam is no different.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to go to some mountain. I think I can never pronounce it. It was like Tepisco Mountain or whatever, where Farrakhan claims this is where you find the ruins and relics of their religion and sacrifice to Quetzalcoatl. There's no evidence for that I could find. Mm-hmm. I think he just made that up.
Okay.
But anyway, he'd go there, and he would go up the mountain, and the mother wheel came down out of the sky, according to him. Mm-hmm. And he goes into the mother wheel. Well, actually, he goes into one of the smaller wheels. So this is the thing about... So in 1925, right, the leader of the Nation of Islam at the time built Master Farr, right,
there was a guy before Farrakhan. He didn't start it.
Oh yeah. So Master Farr was God, and he was alive in the 1920s.
Okay.
In California and in San Francisco, and he was God.
Mm-hmm.
And his primary disciple was Elijah Muhammad.
Okay.
Which was the name he gave himself after he joined the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Because he couldn't decide if he wanted to be a Hebrew Israelite or a Muslim.
Right.
So he called himself Elijah Muhammad. And Elijah Muhammad was the primary prophet of Master Far.
Okay.
Master Far Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, they both die. Master Far dies, and then Elijah Muhammad dies in 1975. And what happened was the Nation of Islam splintered, just like the first Islam did when Muhammad died. There were all these people saying, well, now I'm the leader of Islam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1975, there were all these people going, well, I'm the leader of Black Islam. Black UFO Islam.
Right.
And everyone was like, no, you're not. I am. And they're like, no, you're not. It's me. And so Farrakhan goes on a Black Islam trip to Native American town in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes up to the mountain. And there descends one of the 1,500 smaller wheels from the mother wheel that Master Far built with scientists in Nippon, which is what they insist on referring to Japan as.
Nippon?
Nippon. So, and it descended, and it took Farrakhan up into the wheel, and it specifically told him with everyone else there, not anyone else, just you. And when he went up into the little wheel, it took him to the mother wheel hiding behind the moon. Farrakhan met the dead Elijah Muhammad.
Wow.
The prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even though this is a completely physical thing.
Was he still dead? I mean,
he was still dead, but he was there somehow in an unexplained fashion.
Sure.
And the presence of God / Far Muhammad was also there, though he doesn't claim to see him directly.
Okay.
All right. And then on the mother wheel, Elijah Muhammad told him that you are to carry on the legacy. And then he comes back down to Earth from his spaceship, and he says, it's me, and here's my story. And that's how Farrakhan justifies, and how everyone justifies, his leadership in the Nation of Islam, absent the late Elijah Muhammad.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did the mother wheel thing start with Farrakhan, or did they already have this?
No, the mother wheel began. It appears that Master Far Muhammad / God talked about the mother wheel as early as the 1940s.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. So, like every religion in the Americas that's for Black people, it revolves primarily around some fantastical narrative wherein although it appears they are oppressed people, they are actually the most advanced people. That is every single, whether it's Rasta, is that Black people, but not all Black people, just their specific group of Black people, which they trace to one specific group in Africa.
Right, the elite.
Are the actual children of Israel. And there's some guy who was he was in the time of photographs, like not that long ago, who wears like one of those, you know how when you're a dictator you give yourself military medals and military dress.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys, but he's Prince something, and anyway, he's sort of like Jesus,
okay,
or whatever, in Rasta, and Africa is Zion,
right,
and America is Babylon, and I wonder about it all. And then my favorite reggae guy is Peter Tosh. You ever listen to reggae?
Yeah.
Yeah, his main song is just called "Legalize It."
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about reggae is that although although their religion is also the same, sort of spinning around the same wheel, not mother wheel, but metaphorical wheel, as Nation of Islam and Black Hebrew Israelites, they don't really take it seriously too much, because you can't take much seriously when your religion revolves around smoking weed.
Right, it's pretty chill.
Yeah, it's a pretty chill. They have all these theology, if you can call it that. I mean, there's no real theology in Rasta. It's just sort of, it's just sort of whatever people banter about on the beach while they're smoking marijuana, and that becomes what the religion thinks at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's so hard to get a handle on what's going on in Rasta, because it's really just a weird amalgamation of folk Rastas from around the islands.
It's sort of the like equivalent of like high school white boy sitting in his mom's attic, like on an old couch smoking weed, like saying to his friend, "It's like, bro, what if my face was cheese, man?" You know, and that's your theology.
It is like that. It's very much like that. Like they just anyway. So Rasta's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just that. It's just a lot of Cheeto dust and steel drums.
Yeah.
And then the Black Hebrew Israelites also have the same thing, where they, despite all appearances and the existence of other Jews, they are actually Jews.
Right.
And the New Testament is fake because it doesn't talk about how the Jews are black. Except that also, even though the New Testament was fake, also Jesus was black. Right. And then
but nobody bothered to write it down.
But no one bothered. Well, they did, but then it got suppressed.
Right.
And those original documents are lost. And so the Black Hebrew Israelites primarily dress up as though they're going to Vacation Bible School.
Have you seen that video of that dude getting asked, interviewed? And the guy goes, Mozart. He goes, black. Albert Einstein, black. Galileo, black. It's great. He's so confident, doesn't miss a beat. You know, totally. I mean, his delivery is just perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so that's what I'm saying is that all of the religions that cater to African Americans in the Americas center around this one premise, which is that although it appears that we are downtrodden,
right,
in actuality, we are the chosen or the most advanced.
Well, sure.
And the Nation of Islam, and you can understand.
Yeah, it's an appealing concept.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be chosen.
Right.
You know, everyone wants to be the chosen people. It's no different than all the right wingers claiming that, you know, they was Vikings.
Right.
Or
whatever. Right.
You know, which the Viking age only lasted like 150 years.
Yeah, it's really
like a blip.
It is a blip, and they just blow it way the heck out of proportion.
Yeah, the age when there was Viking raids being made around.
Yeah.
It was like 150 years. It was like nothing.
They didn't even do any really good architecture or anything. They were just kind of.
They were just white Indians.
White pirates.
Running around on their canoes, shooting people with bows and arrows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun, but there was not a lot going on there. And most of the religion that they map onto it of like Norse paganism, we don't even know much about because no one wrote anything down except for Snorri Snurglson or whatever his name was. There was some Icelandic guy named Snorri Snurglson or whatever. And he was some sort of like monk or priest, and he copied down all these old stories just for posterity. Okay. And that's where it's called the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda. And that is which is it's a fair volume actually, but that's where we get all the. If it wasn't for that, we would know nothing about Norse pagan beliefs. Right. And we don't know how they practiced it. We don't know what they did, really. So a lot of it's just historical reconstruction, which I'm not against as a thing. But, it's very similar. It's a very similar mindset to the Black American religions.
I just can't take either of them very seriously as a religion.
Right. Well, so in order to prove Black superiority in the Nation of Islam, the narrative is that Master Far went to Nippon and built the mother wheel with the Nippon scientists, the Japanese scientists, who, by the way, are also black. But they're still Japanese because Asians count as black.
Oh.
Everyone but white people in the Nation of Islam counts as black. This is where the term, if you hear it bandied about in the media and social justice, black bodies, it comes from, this is the mythology from which that comes, even though everyone repeating it doesn't know that. And it is so ridiculous. Here's the mythology. Okay, so long ago, in the universe, across all the planets, was black people. On all the planets. Now, those black people, some were more black than others. Because there were also yellows and reds and browns. And this is, I'm not being racist in those terminologies. That's what the actual mythology refers to them as.
Okay.
Yellows and browns and reds. And it's not explicitly stated because you don't want to turn off your brown and red followers. But it's implicitly stated that the more black you are, the better. Because on Earth, a long time ago, there was a scientist, a great scientist named Yaqub.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of him.
And Yaqub is vaguely associated with the biblical Jacob. Jacob, right? Sort of like he's vaguely attached to that.
Right.
But Yaqub is a black man with a big alien head. Like, imagine a normal head, but then after you get to the eyebrows, it expands into like a mushroom to accommodate a giant brain.
Awesome.
And he's bald like Terry Crews, but he's got veiny biceps, but on his head. And it goes up. And Yaqub was dissatisfied with God's creation.
Okay.
He was a mad scientist. Not only mad and like angry, but mad as like crazy. And he looked into what they call the germ of the black man, which is sort of maybe the sperm.
Okay.
Or we're not sure. It may just be the DNA. But that was the germ is a term, and they will deny this flat out. But their original guy, Master Far Muhammad, was a theosophist for a while with the Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky. And
Sounds
this is
right.
getting high. This is getting high crazy now. But he was with the Blavatsky in the Theosophy Society. And they talk about the germ of man too. So he lifted that phraseology. And whatever it means in Theosophy is what it probably means here. Although it's not clear what it means in Theosophy either. But the germ of man. So he looked at the germ of black people, Yaqub, and he saw that it was made of two parts, a black part and a brown part. He separated them. And then he looked at the brown germ, and he found it was made of two parts, a red germ and a yellow germ, and he separated them. And then he looked at, I think, the yellow one, and he found that it was made of yellow and white, and he separated them. He took the white germ and then used that to make new people, which made the white people. But not having any of the melanin, they were unable to sync up with the cosmic energies.
Right.
So they became devil people.
Oh, man, that stinks.
I know. But here's the thing. That only ruined this planet.
Okay.
Out there in the stars, everyone is still black. And there's this giant cosmic conspiracy to try and lift up Earth black people out of the white demon problem that they're in. And behind the moon sits, and as proof of this is why the mother wheel is the central myth of Nation of Islam that they never talk about in public very much. Actually, Farrakhan brings it up sometimes. He's like, in the mother wheel, but he never explains what he's talking about.
Sure.
And people think it's like some religious symbolism, like the Buddha, like the Buddhist wheel of samsara or something. No, it's an actual spaceship.
Okay.
He goes about mother wheel, and they're like, oh yeah, like the wheel of samsara or some symbolic wheel of time. He's like, no, it's a spaceship behind the moon. It's like, no, guys, he's talking about a spaceship behind the moon that was built in 1925 in Japan with a guy they consider God and some Japanese scientists who are also black according to their cosmology, but not quite as black because they're really close to white people, but whatever. And they hold that this is like when you say this is a vision, they will emphatically be like, no, this is technology and proof that black people are the most superior. Because look, that mother wheel is piloted by 4 pilots: a black pilot, a yellow pilot, a red pilot, and a brown pilot. Canonically.
Okay.
And black people, and I use black in the big term of everyone not white, that are outside the planet are immortal. They never, because death was somehow brought on by Yakub's white people.
Man, we stink.
And then, and the reason you never see the mother wheel is because it's behind the moon. Basically, Wakanda is real, but it's behind the moon. And then, but the little smaller wheels, there are 1,500 smaller wheels which make up the mother wheel. And they occasionally come down and show themselves to Earth. And Farrakhan made this clever move. He said, anytime there's a UFO over a big city, that is the mother wheel sending down a smaller wheel to prove to you what I'm saying is true. And so he's been able, ever since then, he's been able to claim every UFO sighting as proof of his original claim. Specifically, he was really big on the Phoenix Lights, which is one of my favorite UFO sightings also. And also the Battle of Los Angeles, which was really, when was that? That was the 1930s, maybe, when there was a UFO, or maybe it was 1950s. I don't know. It was one of those times there weren't good cameras. And there was a UFO off the coast of Los Angeles, and the military actually shot at it or something. It was a weird time. But both of those they point to heavily as like, oh yeah, that was when the mother wheel sit down a little wheel. Now the little wheels are bombing planes. They're bombing UFO ships, right? And so at the end of the age, all the little wheels will come down and they're just going to bomb the hell out of the Earth. But the mother wheel is a wheel of regeneration, and she will rejuvenize the Earth. And the mother wheel is actually, though it was built in 1925, the mother wheel is the wheel within wheels that Ezekiel saw in the Bible. See, because there are little wheels inside this big wheel.
Right.
And Ezekiel, who was black, who saw a vision of the future in which God / Master Far Muhammad would build this with people off the coast of Japan and create his religion of basically Mormonism for black people.
So the end of the world is going to be a bombing campaign
of UFOs
to destroy all the white people?
Well, it's not clear. It may just destroy everything, and then somehow the mother wheel resets.
Well, I'm adding that to we're trying to get all the brown people off the planet and into space.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see. They never, like all of these things, the actual how it's going to work is either unclear or they don't really tell the public very often. Because it gets really weird. You know, like if Farrakhan got up there and he said, and look, behind the moon is the spaceship I went on and met God.
Yeah, you can't lay it all out there.
Then people, he doesn't. He loses some. But anyway, that's exactly how. That's how it. And they also get a lot from Freemasonry. That's where they got the fezzes. When they would wear the fezzes, which they still do, but they don't do it as often as they used to. So. Yeah, the Nation of Islam is got some weirdness in it, and it's about like I said, like the Nation of Islam is to actual Islam what Mormonism is to Christianity, which is that it's not really the same at all. And actual Muslims are like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
And it's like, but see, then they go, well, we're actually the actual real Muslims also. And our real Islam is about, you have Muhammad and we have Far Muhammad.
Right.
And he's better because he's more far out.
Right.
As in this, and they really make arguments like that. Ours is better because his name means something that is like, It'd be like basically if they were like, well, you have Muhammad and we have a guy named Good Muhammad. And so ours is better. And that's about the extent of it.
Oh, man.
But I was thinking about that because, the Farrakhan was in the news lately. And I was like, the Americas and UFO religion have just gone hand in hand for like so long now. And there's so many, they all tick the same boxes.
Yeah.
Like box number 1 is you have to take some religion that already exists and then sort of throw it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then claim that Muhammad was a space alien. And then they came down and then they said, well, you're the real, like that. Like another famous one I really enjoy is the Raelians or the Raelianology.
Yeah.
You heard of Raelian?
Oh, yeah.
So the Raelians, the thing about the Raelians is Rael, or Claude Varhon, because he's a French guy.
Okay.
He's still alive. He's like in his 70s now. But anyway, after he received his vision of the UFO, he realized his given name by the aliens was Rael.
Okay.
Right? R-A-E, umlauts on it, L. Rael, or that's how he says it. I'm Rael. And I like Rael because Rael is quite obviously the one of the UFO religious leaders that knows it's complete nonsense and is just doing it for money and women. Like there's no pretense about him that he actually believes this. Because
do women go for this?
Well, women that are emotionally unstable and vulnerable,
sure,
flock to cults, right? So he wears, if you ever see Rael around, he wears like, imagine a suit that's white, right? Something like what MC Hammer would wear, mixed with like a very high philosophical alien race from Star Trek.
Okay.
And you put them together. And then you make it, I don't know, you remember in the 90s, those tennis shoes that they looked a little bit different color depending on when the light hit them?
Yeah.
All right, it's made of that.
Awesome.
It's not that. And then it has these giant shoulder pads that come out to like these points. Mm-hmm. It's also made of the same color to create this giant sort of lapel structure.
Okay.
Space of the lapels. Right? Like he looks like the upper half of his suit looks like he would be on a Star Trek Next Generation set.
Sweet.
Like he's sitting in the bar with Whoopi Goldberg and she's got her big hat on. Mm-hmm. And he just walks up all casually and orders like a blue cow's milk or whatever. I know I'm mixing things, but that's what happens.
Cool.
And then around his neck, he wears basically a giant gold medallion, as if he's a 1990s rapper named Biggie Smalls. Mm-hmm. And that the symbol of his medallion is the Star of David, but in the middle, it's connected via a swastika. Ooh. Which is how you know it's good.
Yeah. He went to 11
and so
with Rael,
and as far as I can tell, Raelianism in America, in the U.S., has its heartland in Nevada.
That sounds right.
It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly where Raelianism headquarters, because Raelianism is biggest in Japan, everybody knows. Because the Japanese are really into UFO cults also. Mm-hmm. And Rael married a Japanese girl for a while and spent about 10 years in Japan racing cars and also spreading Raelianism. So he was in Japan going around saying, yeah, hey, I'm Rael, and that means the messenger of the Elohim, he claims, in their religion. Because the Elohim are the humans that never fail. And they created us here using DNA manipulations. And they created all life on Earth. Right? A long time ago. They were aliens.
Yeah.
And the Elohim they're not gods because Raelianism is an atheistic religion, although they were in the past often mistaken for gods.
Okay.
Like Thor was an Elohim that came down and talked to you, and Quetzalcoatl was an Elohim, right? They were mistaken for gods, but really they're just humanity that is devoid of any physical illness and mental instability and anger and jealousy, not because of any spiritual enlightenment, because their technology is so good they have no need for those things anymore. They can cure all diseases. In Raelianism, you hope for immortality through human cloning.
So this is like reverse transhumanism. Right.
Yeah. So it's all just advanced technology, and the Elohim, they maintain they're always alive because they've conquered aging, and even if they were to get killed, they just clone a new one and upload all their memories.
Right.
And and the Elohim are specifically 25,000 years more advanced than we are in technology. 25,000 years. Now, throughout history, there have been 40 Elohim human hybrids who have served as prophets, preparing the way for humanity to hear the news about their ultimate origins on Earth. Right?
All right.
And some of these are, of course, the common cast. Buddha was one of these hybrids. Jesus, Muhammad, and then the fourth and final prophet, Rael himself, who in 1973 had an encounter with an Elohim named Yahweh.
Oh, wow.
Who told him that he, Yahweh, was Rael's actual biological father.
It's beautiful. Right.
It's beautiful. And this, again, like, you always got to take an existing religion. In this case, he took all of them. He's like Buddhism, Jesus, Muhammad. They're all my previous prophets. And I also am a son of Yahweh, who is a space alien. Which puts me on equal footing with Jesus. And and to prove it, I have my parachute suit. and my Nazi Star of David. And my iridescent shoulder pads.
So why doesn't he have all this incredible technology at his disposal?
Well, he does.
Oh.
It's just that he can't use it all the time because we're not ready for it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he went up to they took him to another planet where he physically met Buddha and Moses and Gandhi and Jesus and some other people. I think Albert Einstein maybe. And they were peaceful and harmonious beings. They didn't have money, and they didn't have sickness, and they didn't have war. But what happened was, after 1945, and this is another thing that all the UFO cults take, is this heavy emphasis on the atomic bomb. After the Hiroshima bomb, humanity's since then we've been in the age of apocalypse, all in caps, age of apocalypse.
Okay.
Which we have to overcome. This is our great test. We have to overcome through new scientific and technological ends, or we will be destroyed. If we do overcome it, the Elohim will return to Earth and share their technology, ushering in a golden utopia. And to prepare for this, currently the main activity of the Raelians is at their embassy, which they call it an embassy because it's the greeting place. They are engaged in the constant construction of an ever more elaborate landing pad for the Elohim spaceship. And the construction of this landing pad is basically their main religion. Like it's sort of like you prepare the way for the return of Jesus, but you just literally prepare a spot for Jesus to land in his space saucer.
Can we visit this thing?
Yeah, it's somewhere. And I don't know if they let you in.
Is it in Nevada?
You may have to be it's not in Nevada. I think it's in France.
I got to check this thing out.
You may have to be in the club. And it's nice, but it's underwhelming currently. They want to make, for like where Jesus is going to land in his spaceship with Buddha, you want a nicer spot, I think.
I want to get a selfie on this thing.
Yeah. They also do a lot of meditation and yoga because, you got to.
Sure.
And so Rael, so like I say, Rael I like because he obviously doesn't believe any of this. he's just like, when he talks, he's always sort of smirking, like, people are buying this nonsense. And he's just spitting it out.
Yeah.
And like, the fact that he's still alive, like sometimes he'll be at some of their meetings or services or whatever, and like they'll be doing something and he's required to like show up.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was one I saw and he just like sort of stumbled out of the back like he just got up from a nap. Like they're in the middle of this service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's an old man now. And so he just stumbled like, and wearing sweatpants. And he puts on his medallion and he says some da 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 da. You're all blessed. Aliens are coming. Peace out. And he walks back away.
Wow.
Goes to the back. And everyone's like, oh, that was great. That was great. So I like him. But the guy that's like him, the Aetherius Society with George King. He was like that.
What?
He was like that, but I think he actually bought into it himself.
I've never heard of them.
The Aetherius Society. Well, the Aetherius Society, their biggest place in America is in South California, as is so much stuff. But they are also headquartered in the UK, so it's like a double. Well, and they have to be headquartered in the UK because that's where Holdstone Down is in North Devon, and then they have to worship there because that's where Jesus first landed on his spaceship from Venus.
Oh, well.
So they have to have their pilgrimage there.
Sure.
But anyway, the Aetherius Society was. So here's the main thing of the Aetherius Society: is you have to pray into a battery. It's all very electrical.
Okay.
In its metaphysics. So like take electricity and then just map that onto like a spirit realm.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this battery which is like, it looks like 3 blocks of wood painted blue. And the bottom one or the base is bigger. And then at the top, have you ever seen those things like those head tinglers you would run over your scalp?
Yeah.
That had the little prongs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but thicker. And that's attached on the end. And then like the handle of the head tingler is this big white, almost PVC looking handle. And you take this thing, you turn it on its side, and you use a purple strap, a holy purple strap, to strap it onto a tripod. And then you stand that up in the middle of the field, on top of Holdstone Down where Jesus landed. And then you have the annual pilgrimage that they go do of prayer power pilgrimage. And they all go to this place on the mountain, and they gather around the battery. And so you have to put spiritual energy into the battery.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, using a separate device called the spiritual energy radiator, after it's charged, you can then deploy selectively the spiritual energy radiator to shoot the rays of good vibes at other various world situations and heal them.
Sweet.
It's very, and this is very high technology, obviously.
Does anybody ever jump in front of the beam and like just suck up all the good vibes?
Maybe.
That's what I
don't
would
think
do.
it works like that though, but because it's very high technology, it's not going to make it mess up because it was made by people called the Cosmic Masters.
Mm.
And they know what they're doing.
Sure.
You're not going to trick the Cosmic Masters.
Okay.
And so what you do is you all gather around the battery, right? And they check, and everyone, and they take turns going up in groups of 3 to add energy into the battery.
Mm-hmm.
But then they take turns of those 3 one at a time. And then it becomes like a contest to see who can make the most showy prayer, like in practice. And so what you do is you lay one hand on the battery, lay on hands, and then the other hand, you connect your middle finger with your thumb in like a yogic pose.
Okay.
And you hold it up high. I want everyone to do that. So you'll hold it up high, and your other hand you place upon the battery. And then you speak in a very pompous voice, and you say things like, "Oh, mighty fathers of all creation, Oh, planetary ones who see all and know all, who give us their life. And you go like that, right?
Okay.
And then the next guy gets up behind you and he says, well, that was pretty good, so I got to go higher.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes like into a full televangelist. And he's like, oh, aliens, oh, won't you please hear me out? We giving you everything, you know. And he gives that into the battery. And then the next guy comes out and he tries to outdo him. And while they're doing this, all the rest of the congregation stands around the battery in a big circle chanting, Om Nani Pani Hum, Om Nani Pani Hum, Om Nani Pani Hum, Aetherius, Om Nani Pani Hum. And that's basically what it is. And they wear big, bright red robes. And it's pretty great.
Sounds festive.
It's very festive. And I think, you know, they're probably the most chill or mainstream of the UFO cults. In that they're structured very much like a little church with little communities, local communities, where they have their own little prayer batteries that they can then discharge into the great prayer battery once a year at the meeting. And they don't really have, other than that, they don't do a lot of like weird stuff. Like there's no like you gotta abandon all your family and you gotta just be with us and you have to castrate yourself. There's none of that, as there is in other UFO cults in America. But it's just, you know, it's sort of, I don't know. They think, you know, George King was the guy that started that. He used to channel Aetherius. So George King was this guy, and he was doing yoga in his apartment in 1955 when he had a voice came to him and told him that he was the cosmic master and that he would be the liaison of all creation. Right? He said, he told him specifically, prepare yourself. You are to become the voice of interplanetary parliament. And he didn't know what that was.
All right.
He later found out that, you know, what planetary, but he didn't know what that was, and he didn't know anyone to ask. So he decided he didn't know anything about UFOs at the time. He didn't know anything about aliens. So he decided to do what he did know, which was yoga. And so he sat in his apartment and he locked himself in there and he said, I'm not leaving. I'm just going to meditate until I receive an answer. And it didn't take him long because a yoga teacher from India appeared in his room through a locked door and sat down in the chair, very physical, and told him, you know, you have to go listen to what the voice says, and this is all legit, right? And then from after that, through his meditation, he could channel Aetherius. And so he'd put on these sunglasses and he'd speak into a camera because the sunglasses helped him block out his own ego so that Aetherius could speak through him. And the alien Aetherius would then give messages to the human race through George King. And he did hours and hours of this recorded on, which you can find on the Aetherius Society's various medias. But so the whole thing with the Aetherius Society is that there's reincarnation, and that our particular planet is a classroom in a universal college. And all the souls through the universe come here to gain experience, but very few get the experience that they should. And if they don't, they have to redo the classroom and be reborn here again. There are very few. If you're an adept, though, if you become an adept, right, then you get the chance to leave if you want to, but you can come back as he did and help other people also be enlightened enough to leave. And that's why he didn't call himself a cosmic master at the time, but now they've come to consider him a cosmic master.
Awesome. So he's fully transcended. He's the dude now.
He's the dude, and his picture is up on the wall in front of the cosmic battery, dear leader style, while they pray to it. I would say he's sort of like a discount L. Ron Hubbard. You know,
didn't write any cool novels.
A poor man Scientology is the Aetherius Society.
Okay,
you know, because the Scientology need a lot of money, but the Aetherius Society you just pray into the spirit battery. And how familiar were you with Scientology?
I mean, not really. I know L. Ron Hubbard is into space aliens.
It gets so when you I've done so much. I've been around so many UFO cults and talked with the UFO cult. The Scientology has the single best brainwashing mechanism I've ever seen. Like when you look at how Scientology can continue,
Yeah.
or how it can start, it's like it's so brilliant. It is almost beggars belief. So here's how it started. Hubbard, who was a science fiction author, right? He had a lot of personal problems. He was trying to work through them. And so he got some, rather than like go to like a psychologist or a therapist or something, he just got a book from Sigmund Freud and said, well, that sounds good. I'll make my own version.
Okay.
And his version of psychoanalysis, he called Dianetics.
That's right.
And Dianetics is the core of Scientology, though people don't realize that. All right. So, and it supposedly is the combination of the Greek words dia and nous, meaning through, and mind. So it's through your mind. All right. So Dianetics holds the idea of the conscious and the subconscious mind that Freud postulated. He retermed the analytical mind and the reactive mind.
Okay.
And the analytical mind thinks rationally. Okay. And the reactive mind only and solely reacts as a record of trauma and pain.
Mm.
And it does this in excruciating detail. So, like, let's say as a baby you were beaten.
Mm-hmm.
Every single aspect of that experience, all of the sense perceptions, the smells, the hearing, what it sounded like, what you felt like, is recorded perfectly in the reactive / subconscious mind. And this creates these experiences, these nexuses of emotions and sense perceptions of negativity are called engrams.
Mm-hmm.
And this Dianetics is a method of erasing these engrams to achieve a state called clear, which is where the documentary about Scientology, Going Clear, gets its name.
Okay.
Because you got to get clear. You got to clear your engrams, right? Okay. So the whole engram stuff, it's kooky, but it's not that much different than the stuff Freud wrote.
Sure.
It's like you have past trauma, you got to work through it by bringing it to the conscious out of the subconscious. Okay. But then he pushes the engram stuff further, and he states that an engram it may involve prenatal experiences, infancy, and even traumatic events in past lives in extraterrestrial cultures.
Okay, so we're reincarnated aliens?
We're reincarnated, right, aliens, and we may have been reincarnated on Earth a lot, but at some point in the far distant past, we were aliens, and if we never cleared our engrams from back then, they're still with us. So we have engrams from our past. So like maybe on Venusia, you stubbed your knee 60,000 years ago, and that's why you have arthritis today.
This sounds like a really expensive issue to fix.
It's very expensive. So what you do, and all these engrams create aberrations, which not only create deviations in rational thinking in the rational mind, leading to all of your emotional and mental psychosis, but also are the genesis of every single physical ailment you may have, including like death, right?
Okay.
And like leukemia.
Sure.
Like Hubbard famously stated at one point that like leukemia was caused by an engram in one person to a phrase they once heard called "it turns my blood to water" or something. So he was working with he was doing Dianetics with a leukemia patient, and they were in there remembering all their past. And there was this one time where he said, And then someone told me it turns my blood to water, and I thought that was a weird phrase. And they said, aha, that's what's causing your leukemia. And then he says, canceled. You do like that, you go, canceled. And then you cancel the engram.
Really? You do? That's what you do?
Canceled. Once you identify it, you cancel it. And then once you've cleared it, then the pathology goes away.
Amazing.
Right. So it requires Dynetics therapy has to have a two-person activity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One person is the auditor, and the other is the pre-clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the pre-clear is guided through the Dynetics by the auditor. It's sort of pseudo-hypnosis, pseudo-therapy. All right. So we're gonna do a Dynetics session here. I'm gonna be the auditor. You're gonna be the pre-clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and enter a state of Dynetic reverie.
Oh man, I'm there.
All right. I will know you're there if your lashes are trembling, your eyelashes.
Really?
Yeah. That's how you know you're in the Dynetic reverie.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to install a canceller. This is an instruction. It's a hypnotic instruction intended to absolutely cancel any form of positive suggestion that could accidentally occur.
Okay.
So rather than so this is done by I was like, in the future, here's how I install a canceller. I say, in the future, when I utter the word cancel or canceled, this is actually where cancel culture comes from, by the way. Everything I have said to you while you're in this therapy session will be canceled and will have no force with you. Any suggestion I may have made to you will be without force when I say the word canceled. Do you understand?
Right.
And you say, yes. Okay.
So it's like when you awake, you will remember nothing.
Right. And here's the thing. Hypnosis does work. Hypnosis is very weird. I don't think anyone understands, but this is not. This is like bargain bin hypnosis.
Okay.
All right. The auditor then asks pre-clear. So I will then ask you to locate an exact record of something that happened in your past. So say locate some incident that you feel you can comfortably face but would like to get rid of. So let's say your trauma of nearly drowning in the sea or in the river and being rescued by an angel. All right. Now I want you to recall as much as possible from that event. I will go over it several times until you're cheerful about it. Like until you can say it cheerfully. And then when you're cheerful about it, and it takes maybe, and then we'll go on to another incident that you feel, and you do this like 5 or 6 times, 7, 8 times until we're done with the session, which is about 2 hours or so. And then I say, return to present time. And you say, are you in present time? You go, present time. Are you in present time? Present time. Canceled!
You gotta yell it.
Right. Canceled. And that cancels all of that we went through. All of those engrams, they're now canceled.
Awesome.
And whatever ailments they were causing you are now also canceled. Right? And the thing about this is, for a lot of people that are very emotionally broken and have no friends, this will really help.
I bet it feels incredible.
Because just sitting down and talking with someone about problems you have is very helpful.
And you put it in this kind of scientific, clinical context.
Yeah.
You can open up.
It will help people. And so that's how you draw them in, because you're like, I feel better. And someone listened to me and I'm going to come back. Right? And that's when you're like an operating Thetan 1.
Okay.
Now me, I'm an operating Thetan 8.
So it's like free therapy.
Right. It's like free therapy. Now, a Thetan is a spiritual being. And an operating Thetan is a Thetan who is trying to operate in the world. Okay. Okay, and do good things. And there are different levels, right? And you begin your operating Thetan 1, the highest level, which me and Tom Cruise is operating Thetan 8.
Okay. Congratulations.
It's sort of like the Masonic levels.
Sure.
Okay. So
is this where you buy books? You got to buy the expensive books?
You buy the expensive books in 1. And that's how they test you to see, is this guy a money pig? You buy the books. And then you buy retreats. And then after, if you keep spending the money, you can go up the ladder. All right. So now you don't learn the real skinny until you get to OT3. OT3 is where it really begins to, because up to now you've just been doing this Dianetics therapy stuff.
Okay.
Right? Now at OT3 you have to go onto the Sea Org.
Is this the boat?
Right.
Okay.
So L. Ron Hubbard bought a fleet of boats with his religious money.
Mm-hmm.
And he used this basically to avoid taxes.
Sure. That's smart.
Because there were a lot of people after him for various fraudulent things, and so he just went out to sea and lived for a while. He said, well, now I'm in international waters. And I have a base back on land where I can get more money from Scientology, but I'll just live on this boat. And I'll call myself the Commodore. And we're an admiral, and we'll have a paramilitary structure, and everyone will be given ranks, and you'll have to, and maybe we'll even have some armaments, and it'll be great. Which I don't fault him for any of that. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, you go to the Sea Org when you're ready for OT3. Now you've been thoroughly screened here, right? And they give you like a briefcase of like your own stuff, and they walk you through some locked doors, and you sit down, you open the briefcase, and then you learn the real skinny stuff, which is that not only are you the reincarnations of several things, but every piece of you is. So like there are thetans, again, spirits or souls that make up like your thumb. Like your thumb is some thetans, and your liver is some thetans. It is a different set of thetans. And your ear and your eyes and like your nervous system, they're all thetans that have glommed onto your being because they're sort of haunting the earth, trapped in their engrams. Right? Because they've got all these bad engrams.
Gotcha.
Okay. But then and how did they get here?
I don't know.
75 million years ago, Xenu, the cosmic dictator, due to overpopulation, brought tons and tons of people here to Earth, and he set them beside the basins of volcanoes and blew them all up with nuclear bombs. And so that was a very traumatic experience. And they have big engrams, all of them.
Oh, man.
And that's why humanity's so messed up, because we're attached, like your ring finger is like a guy named Polycephanes from 75 million years ago who's still working through his trauma of the engram, of being taken off, being forced into a planetary extermination camp and genocided.
Wow.
By Xenu. But here's where I said at the beginning, this is the greatest brainwashing tool I've ever seen. Because here's where it goes. Because you've been doing this, you've been learning to do this Dianetics procedure where you're the auditor and the pre-clear, and they say, okay, now you've learned to do how to do the auditing, right? But now that you know the truth, you have to do the auditing on all the parts of yourself and get them clear. And so now this like exterior thing where you've had to audit someone else, you now have to do the auditing self-therapy on all the parts of you which are past lives and get them clear. So you've taken this thing that's provided you mental help and you turn it inwards and you just sort of spiral down into madness.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. So it's like original sin is replaced with the original trauma, and instead of eating an apple, it was that you were blown up by an A-bomb.
Okay.
Because they all have to have the A-bomb. I don't know why. They just do. The Mormons are not as focused on like the A-bomb, but they are way more into aliens than they publicly admit.
Sure.
Because, well, first of all, the angel Moroni that met Joseph Smith, that sent him on a quest for ancient texts beneath the tree, which he couldn't read because they were in ancient Egyptian. But then Moroni reappeared and gave him a device called the Uman and Thuman, by which he translated them into English, and from which he gets the Book of Mormon, but which now we know we can read the original text of this papyrus, and because we can now read ancient Egyptian, and we know that it's like a receipt for like some grain or something. But that doesn't hurt anything at all. This is what's fascinating, is that you can like know this stuff, and it doesn't hurt it in any way. Mormonism just keeps going along.
So the golden tablets actually say something?
Well, so there was golden tablets allegedly, but then there was some papyrus. So like he had the golden tablets, and they were like, and he's like, here's what it says, and he was like, and then people at the time were like, well, show us these golden tablets, and he was like, well, I lost the golden tablets.
That's unfortunate.
But here I'm gonna rewrite what the stuff said. Oh, I found this paper, this papyrus, that actually is the same message, except it's changed a little bit from what I first said because da 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 da. The whole thing from the beginning was weird. All right, but again, but Moroni, keep in mind, he never said he was an angel. People wrap onto it. He just said at the time, that he one time lived on Earth, but now comes from the star cluster Pleiades, and there are many other like him.
He's a space
from
bro.
The very beginning, he's an alien that comes down, talks to Joseph Smith, and gives him the golden tablets. And see, in the Mormon cosmology, God the Father, who's named Elohim, Jesus, his son, who before he incarnated was known as Jehovah. So Jesus is Jehovah, and God the Father is Elohim / Yahweh. And Jesus, Jehovah, had a brother named Lucifer, Satan, who they bickered about morality or something, and God kicked him out.
Right.
And anyway, God was once himself a normal human or normal alien, maybe, on some other planet somewhere, ruled by some other God. And our God pleased his God sufficiently that his God allowed him to become a God, too, of equal status, and gave him his own planet, which is us.
Right.
And so if we also please Elohim / Yahweh and Jesus / Jehovah, we will also one day get to be gods and goddesses of our own planets and make up rules for the creatures on it. And the universe is in fact filled with inhabited planets, each governed by a kind of alien god. And our God has a physical throne in this universe on a different planet. And if you had a spaceship, you could actually go there and talk with him. And it's around the star or planet. It's not specified. It's one of the two, called Kolob, which no one can actually identify with a telescope. But it's somewhere. There's a planet called Kolob. And if you go there, God is sitting there just hanging out. And he's looking at us through his, I don't know, technology or his supernatural powers. I don't know, but he's able to and this is where Battlestar Galactica gets all of its stuff, by the way.
Oh.
Battlestar Galactica is Mormon science fiction.
Sweet.
Because they're always searching for Kolob, and they're like the lost tribe. You know, like there's the lost tribe of Judah was actually the Native American Indians, and the Garden of Eden was in Missouri.
I mean, even though they're not really about aliens publicly, this does really sound like a techno sci-fi alien sort of thing, like the others you've covered.
It's a techno alien sci-fi pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Wherein there's God, but he was made God by a different God, and if you please him, you get to be God, and then you make up God. And it's just always going back to, and it never is specified where it goes to at the end. Right? It's just like, well, if you do good, then you can also get into the gold club, and then you'll get 30% more return on your sales. And then the people under you will get 15%, and then you'll get even more money.
Awesome.
And it's just if you took a pyramid scheme and made it about aliens with polygamy, that's Mormonism. And what I find fascinating about Mormonism is we now have 100% proof that the original founding text say nothing whatsoever that they were claimed to say. And yet, it doesn't hurt Mormonism at all. They're like, well, mistakes happen.
Right.
But still, Uman and Thuman.
Right.
And I don't know what that says about the world. But
well, once you're so committed to a thing, you can't face the embarrassment of coming to grips with it, even though you know it's baloney.
Well, Well, it's like I was thinking about. I've been really upset by the fake fans in the baseball stadium.
Okay.
Have you because what they did was they said, well, we can't have, because of the virus, everyone's gonna just live like everyone has leprosy.
Right.
And we're not gonna have any fans at the baseball game. But rather than just have empty stadiums, it's better if we make cardboard cutouts of human beings and set them in the seats.
I'm pretty sure they're the only fans that baseball has left.
But nonetheless, the advertisers pay for commercials in it, and then they get returns on their investment.
How do the returns happen?
Well, you'd have to set up some sort of automated thing that would pay for it, right? And this would need to occur.
Where does the money come from?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure. Maybe the government, because the institution of the baseball would be seen as something that needs to happen, even though no one actually wants to do it anymore. And so you just sort of prop it up and you just say, well, this is central to like American identity, just like Mormonism is central to many people's identity. And you just say, well, okay, maybe it's all fake, but we'll just leave it up there and then it doesn't matter. And because everything is increasingly fake to the point where well, you see this. I mean, like advertisements today are not made in many cases to actually sell product. They're made to push some sort of political narrative.
Right.
Right. And that doesn't actually hurt the businesses involved. Like they don't. In most cases, they increase their funds. It's just like that famous headline.
It is a little puzzling. I mean, I'm pretty sure NASCAR fans are absolutely disgusted with NASCAR right now. And most baseball fans are probably totally disgusted with the MLB right now for putting BLM all over the mound and all this theatrics and stupid political crap. So then who's propping these organizations up with money?
Well, think of it this way. So there was that famous, the what's his name? Is it Jim Cramer, the guy that does the Mad Money stuff?
Yeah.
There was from a few months ago when the employment was really bad from the virus stuff. There was a great screen grab where he was on the back, he was in front of a screen that said GDP at all-time high or whatever, single greatest day. Mm-hmm. And the bottom lower third, the ticker had the thing that says 40 million new unemployed people. And it's like the workers and the GDP, like the health of the economy and the amount of production that happens, they had nothing to do with each other. Yeah. Because this was also some fake thing. So, and I was like, it's all some sort of weird religious cults, but also we don't understand the cults well enough because we think if you could just show them straight up that it was not true. I think these UFO cults prove that, then it would dissolve. But no, that's not the case. And in fact, you can set up things to sort of no one has to believe it. That's the crazy thing. That you can have a whole religion. I think probably the Raelians are like this. Mm-hmm. You can have a whole religion where no one believes any of it, but you just sort of believe in the belief. You believe that someone believes it, and that is enough. You don't have to laugh. You just have to believe that someone else is laughing, and the laugh track makes you feel better.
What a depressing thought, man.
I know. And you don't have to actually enjoy the baseball game. You just have to believe that someone else enjoys the baseball game. And that's enough. Because it's like this surrogate belief ability of human beings. You can light a candle and you can go off and then do fornication, but objectively you're praying. The kid doesn't believe in Santa Claus and the parents don't believe in Santa Claus. Nonetheless, they believe in the belief of the other in Santa Claus, and that's enough to get the whole thing to function.
I think when the main purpose of your faith is to create a culture and an identity you fall into stuff like the candle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When your faith isn't really about an answer for your own sin and a relationship with God, when it becomes sort of a mode of living instead, and it's more about your earthly life, that's how you get that. That's how you get that way. That's how you end up in a laugh track religion.
Well, yeah, but see, it also springs from people's difficulties with it. Like, let's say you're a guy who, and you have some problem, like I don't know what, but you can't you're like, I just can't be good enough for this. Like, I don't feel like I'm ever meeting the standard. I can't believe enough. I want to, I can't be good enough. Like, I'd like to, but I keep doing these things. And you say, and like, and you're like, and then you get to like, I can't even pray very well. Like, I pray, I get distracted. And then your mind is like, well, if you're getting distracted, you can't control your mind. And to some extent, that's true. You can't control the flow of your stream of consciousness. So then just offload that onto this external thing, the candle or the prayer wheel, right? And then you sort of, it's the same sort of psychology that goes into like, well, I don't treat my kids well, but I will give them nice stuff, right? Like, I have trouble. It's like a parent that's like, I have trouble actually loving my kids, but I want to love them. I have trouble being around them and being nice to them because they annoy me, but I want to. So in lieu of that, I will give them lots of nice toys, I will pamper them in these other ways, and that will express my love through these externalities that I cannot express myself despite my desire to do so. And I think that's the same thing as fake baseball fans. And you can even probably in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if one day in the future, we don't even just have complete fake games. Like, they're just CGI players playing CGI games. Basically, it's a video. We already do this. It's a video game of the players playing the game that people then tune in to watch.
Yeah. And
people tune in to watch esports all the time. And the thing about it is, right now, people still play those games, right? But why? What if you just had a computer play the game against other computer players and you gave it a personality? And then could you just offload even that? And it would still be, the thing about it is, it's still sufficient for many people's psychological needs. That's the amazing part. Like they're fine with fake fans. They're fine with laugh tracks. They're fine with the prayer wheel. Like, that's, it's sort of depressing.
How does one be okay with it? I guess is my question. Like, what?
Well, you get into like, it's this weird like solipsism where it's like, do people even think other people exist really deep down, or are they just satisfied with because like,
I mean, you must be so completely gripped by, I guess, nihilism. If everything is meaningless and there's nothing beyond what I experience, and I can't even be sure that other people exist, then a real sport or a real religion is no better than a fake sport or a fake game or a fake religion. And you can have a robot pastor, right? Or whatever,
right.
Or whatever. Or you can have a space alien, a fake space alien savior that is not remotely believable, but it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, but here's the question. How much of that is due to our current moral and spiritual state, and how much of that is just because we can now? Like, is it just like, because now
we have the technology to make satisfying experiences, fake ones,
right? Yeah, and that's the upsetting part. Is like, was this always sufficient?
I don't think so. No.
See, I know, but see, here's what the thing. There are a couple of things that made me go, like, the new trend of resurrecting quote unquote past singers through holograms. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
And it's like everyone knows that guy's dead.
Right.
But nonetheless, you can make a hologram of Elvis and people will still pay the same amount of money to go see it as if he were there.
Yeah.
And that's creepy.
It is.
And then I was like, okay, so we can have a fake. That's what makes me think you could have a fake. Because you know the guy up there doing the concert that's a hologram now. And sometimes they even do it with fake characters. Like in Japan, they have these whole concerts and people go in mass to see basically anime characters. They're never real. They were never had a pretense of being real. And they just stand there and they do the thing. They go through a whole concert and people pay the same ticket price as they would for a regular person. And so they were never real. And then they made them up, right? And then, or they were dead like Elvis, and you can bring them back and you make a hologram concert of them. And that makes me think like, well, right now people tune in and watch people play video games, which is already a level of fake. But what if you just replace the person playing it with a fake? Would that be sufficient? And what if you just replaced the fans are fake? What if you just replace the baseball players?
And what if you just replace yourself with an AI?
I know. That's the thing. Like, is that what we're...
That's transhumanism, right? Is we're going to upload your consciousness, which I think is kind of code for we're going to make an AI replica of you, and you can just kill yourself. And the AI will still remain, and that will be you now. Yes. I think that's really what... Let's back up a second, because I had a thought about, was it always this way?
Well, yeah, real quick, I was bringing this up because I was like, this made me think like the UFO cults and then the baseball fakery made me think that maybe right-wingers have very much underestimated the problem because they think people won't, they underestimate people's ability to outsource their souls. Which is a very creepy idea. But I think we're getting to the place where people are capable of outsourcing almost everything, and that's pretty weird. And I'm not sure what to do about that, or what that means or says about us.
Right, like the opposition to healthy human living is so strong because the individuals involved in the opposition are so willing to outsource their very soul to this technologically enabled mega movement. Yeah,
because we always have in our minds that like, well, the great check on this great movement towards degeneration will be that at some point people will like desire the real.
Right.
Like have a desire for real human connections. They'll have a desire for like real love. But then you think
they'll come to a moment. Yeah, they'll like come to a moment of crisis where they realize that they're miserable and it doesn't work. And what you're saying is maybe there is no. That's not going to happen.
Maybe there's no bottom.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting to. Like maybe you can. It's like that movie. There was a Bruce Willis movie where everyone just got really fat and ugly, but it was fine because they every day they would plug into this thing and a robot version of them would go out into the world that was fit and healthy.
Yeah, surrogates. Well, that's the internet, man. It's like
the internet.
Social media is the surrogate. Yeah,
we're already doing that.
And right? So, like, if I can convince other people on social media that neo-Marxism, bio-Leninism is really great and working for me, and I'm so happy, that's enough to make me continue in it all the way into my disgusting death.
Yeah, it's like a prayer wheel that spins, and it's like you don't actually believe it. It's not actually making you happy. Nonetheless, you've set up a fake you.
Yeah.
That for which it is, and then that it's like mind bending and depressing at the same time. Like, but that's what you do. Like everyone on the internet has like Facebook isn't real. People put up on Facebook all of the best moments of their lives. They leave out all the bad, and then they carefully frame all the shots
to
make it look even better.
And it's like it allows them to continue down a road of destruction and despair much longer than they otherwise would have.
Right, because you can just make a fake one.
Because you keep the avatar alive and happy.
Yes, And then I was thinking, is it a coincidence that all these UFO cults and religions have this idea of the avatar?
Yeah.
And they explicitly, because it's like, is it enough just is it enough just to make up an imaginary version for a lot of people?
Yeah, it's like you see the 600-pound guy that they have to forklift out of bed, you know, he's covered in like old hamburger bun crumbs, and you know, just totally completely fell apart. And you wonder, like, how did you, that's always the question, is like, how did he let himself get this way?
Right.
But maybe the answer is he's got a fake self out there that's happy on the internet. And if he can just keep that fake self happy, it's enough to keep him going.
Well, it's like World of Warcraft, which I played for a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you may be, you know, and it was fun, but it's like you may be like, you know, shrimpy and cowardly, but actually you're a level 60 paladin with giant muscles and you're very brave.
Yes, I know plenty of people that lost years of their life building up this avatar of themselves in World of Warcraft. But you know, the encouraging part is that it eventually fell apart for them.
It did. But what if there was one that was a little bit better? Like a better fake.
Yeah, a human lifespan is only so long.
You can, because this is where it's like, I think what I'm getting is I think we've underestimated people's ability to just manufacture a virtual thing and be satisfied with it.
Yeah.
Like, because you can, and then what does that say about what people are and like what I mean, people on that World of Warcraft stuff and similar, I mean, there are people that still play it.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that have been in there for 10 plus years.
Well, if you fully invested in this avatar of yourself, maybe there's a point at which you can't leave. There are people still playing what was that old thing? Worlds? Or EVE Online and all those
EVE Online,
the big massive online deals.
Yeah.
There are people still on that.
Because your friends, that's where you have your friends. You get on there every day and you talk to them. Now, you never met them in person, but that doesn't matter.
All right.
Their avatar becomes their being to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you have all of your memories and all of your house is there. Like there's a place where you know, and then but then you think, and this has actually happened. Okay. But what if you then replace the people on the other end playing the character with another robot?
Yeah.
Like but it was good enough the people didn't notice.
One at a time, as people check out of the game, they're automatically replaced with an AI of themselves that's already been built.
You could have one guy sitting there his whole life that was everything about it was fake.
He's the last guy on EVE Online, and all of his friends are now AIs.
And he doesn't even know it.
He doesn't know.
Or maybe what's even more horrible is he knows it on some level but doesn't care.
Well, you know, people will get married to their silicone sex dolls.
I know, or their 2D waifus. It's like, you can. This is my thing. Like maybe we just have the technology to replace everything now, and so we can, and they will. Like you can replace women with a sex doll, or the 2D waifus. People would marry their anime characters.
Yeah.
And then you have the fake. I think the fake baseball fans is a watershed moment because that's when this fakery became very public and people weren't bothered by it. It's like there was a level of fake in society already where everyone was just like, yeah, well, but that's okay too.
Right.
You know, it was like, it's like, it makes me think back to our pro wrestling episode, and it's like everything is kayfabe, but it's kayfabe to the point where people have forgotten that they're kayfabing or something. It's very upsetting.
Something different has occurred in the technology age. Well, let's go back to was it always this way question. And I think in the pre-technological eras, if you were going to have a successful false religion, there had to have been some sort of demonic power providing providing energy and experience and a feeling of transcendence to the people participating in the religion. Like you couldn't just make one up, right?
Right.
But now we have the internet and technology and computers and holograms and all that stuff and AI. And I think maybe you don't need, it's like we've synthesized that which was occasionally brought into the world through demonic power, it can now be brought forth by the internet, by humans.
Yes. Yeah, and here's the thing. The problem with the idea of like fake news is that it's always been fake.
Yeah.
Like it's all like it's like if you this magic works by, and it is sort of a magic spell. It's like it's fake, but it's fake because it's juxtaposed against the idea of something real. Like the Mormon papyrus, they know it's fake, but nonetheless, it's fake because there are realities. Like God is real, they think, and so the fake is a way of sort of like justifying the real. It's like it's real because it's so fake. And that was the thing that even Elon Musk said the other day. He's like, it's real because of how fake it looks.
Yeah.
When he was talking about his car going through space, and it's like this justification whereby, okay, yes, this is fake. The fans are fake, but that they're fake because real ones exist. And since real ones exist, it's fine for there to be a simulacrum of the real in their absence. Because the simulacrum proves that the real exists. Because it's fake. Because it's fake, that there is also a real version, and therefore the fake one justifies the real existing in some perverse way. And this is this problem is so deep, and it's like I don't know what to do about it.
So
does that make sense?
I mean, sort of. So like, because my online avatar exists, I can just spiral ever closer to death, and it's okay because I still exist.
So let's say you have an avatar on World of Warcraft, and you're a paladin, right? And he's brave and courageous and strong. It doesn't matter if you're not that, or if anyone you've ever met is like that. The fact that it can be simulated means that it is possible, at least in theory, for someone like that to exist. And that is enough.
Okay.
Right? And that's what the prayer wheel is. That's what the fake people are. That's what the laugh track is. That's how UFO cults operate. Because it's like, I don't think many people actually believe that there's a spaceship behind the moon driven by an Asian, an Indian, a Mexican, and a black man. But it's like the fact that it's, in some sense, it's like the fact that you can even conjure that up means it must exist somewhere.
Right.
It's like it's like this weird thing about the imagination where we feel like if you can't imagine it, then it either is real or can be real. And we all sort of believe that because you think like everything that exists first came from the imagination. Right? Like a car was first imagined before it was built. And so then people think, well, that can also work in reverse. We're all just going to be fakes one day.
I'm not going to be fake.
You're already fake. You don't know it.
I'm not.
I told
so
you
this
were a
is
clone,
why
but
this is
you're
why
a
I'm
robot
bad.
clone.
Okay, this is why I'm bad at Twitter. Okay, and will never be good at Twitter. That is the only social media I'm on. I'm terrible at it. It's because I can't outsource my personality into an avatar.
Can you not, or have you just not practiced enough?
Well, I find the notion utterly revolting, and so whatever it takes to be good at social media, I can't even remotely approach doing it.
Well, so here's how you would do it. So this is what happened with Campbot, I think. And I like Campbot, but he's also annoying. But so Campbot began just being, and this is what happened with everyone on Twitter, really, is they began just posting like them, and they're like, "Oh, today I went to the jelly bean store, and I had some jelly beans, and oh, good day at work." This is what happened with Facebook. Everyone originally was just like posting like stuff that happened.
Right.
I was on Facebook in like the first couple of months of Facebook.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
As I think you were also. And at the beginning, it was just like, "Hey, today I did this thing." And that was even what the prompt was, like, "What's on your mind?" And you would say like, "Oh, today I did a bit," and then you put enter, right? It was like it was like sort of like what LiveJournal was.
Yeah.
And stuff. But as you do it, like as Campbot posted more, he got social feedback onto the posts that were more people liked. And so then he began doing more of those things. And as he began to do more of those things, to post, like it's like a feedback. It feeds back into your real life, and then you start to become your online personality, which is what everyone is doing, which is why the world is falling apart, because everyone is becoming their weird either social justice or anti-social justice internet avatar in real life.
Yep.
And then yeah, it's all fake baseball.
I mean, think about that. Think about what it's doing to our desire as human people to reproduce and perpetuate our species.
But hey, do you need that? You can just have a fake baby. Have you seen those things?
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah.
And you can offload the amount of the level to which a human being can be satisfied enough with a virtual replacement to continue living without revolt is much higher than we anticipate.
The direction, technology can encompass a lot of things, right? And what we're experiencing right now is a very narrow subset of the idea of technology that has been expanded over our entire life, okay? Meaning like internet connected things and information, okay?
Right.
And somewhere we went down this branch in the delta of technology into this little swamp of the internet, and the channel, it's like we're rowing in this canoe and the channel is getting narrower and narrower and narrower. And somewhere we crossed into the narrowness of this channel to where we can no longer turn the canoe around.
Yeah.
And left back behind us, way in the back, somewhere we crossed that border where we can perpetuate our species.
Yeah.
And now we're in this dysgenic cycle, and there's no escape.
Why do you think the aliens have to come back and get sperm from human beings to perpetuate their species? Because they went down this cycle already.
There you go.
That's why the aliens are like that.
I think the human race is going to stay in constant dysgenic crisis and breakdown as long as the internet exists.
Yeah, but then, I mean, yeah, but you can go see Tupac in concert again.
Well, that makes it all worth it.
Even though he's dead.
We're
people
not
are like, this is fine. This is fine.
People have remarked to me, it's like it feels like history is stopped, and I guess Fukuyama came this whole end of history thing. And I rejected that for a long time. But right. maybe it's true to the point where we've ended up in this narrow channel as a people, and we're going to have to burn a path through the marsh if we're going to get out of this thing.
Well, Fukuyama, his end of history was like that there'll be no more war, basically, and we've reached the final ideology and everything's going to...
Right. So
but that's not going to be true, but what's actually the end of history is that there is no more...
It's the end of history in a different way than he thought.
Yeah, it's like... It's like the prophecy came true, but in like a monkey's paw way.
Yeah.
It's like we got what you wished for, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And now history has stopped because there's no I was talking about this the other day. It's like it's impossible to tell fact from fiction anymore because all trust in public institutions is gone.
Mm-hmm.
There is no authority figure which can say this is right, this is wrong. And everyone has an equal voice on YouTube and the internet, and they all speak as though they know what they're talking about. And they can all point to things that say, see? And the other people go, well, no, they're wrong because see?
Yeah.
And they all have charts and graphs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and like history is this progression of like a narrative from point A to point B, but there is no more narrative. There's only narrative rather. And there's just, there's no more, there's no more truth that you can point to and be like, yeah, we all can all agree that this is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so history has sort of stopped. We're just in this loop. And maybe in 20 years, this podcast will be just you and me, Robo me and Robo you.
Yeah.
And we'll be speaking to Robo fans.
Yep.
With Robo advertisers.
Well, that's the singularity, man.
I know.
That's transhumanism is the conclusion of this spiral.
Yeah.
And it's never going to happen. But if it were to happen, it is the natural conclusion of what we're on right now, and it's the death of all human life. And it's like we were joking about a month ago about just two trading robots outbidding each other as the world collapses and everybody's dead. Like that. That's the conclusion.
Right now.
That's the conclusion of this little tributary of high-tech civilization that we've found ourselves in.
Yeah, the robots will fire off the missiles, everyone will be dead, and then just a couple of robots will continue to trade things back and forth, and the GDP will go sky high.
And they won't even be dead. We won't even be dead from war. We'll be dead from like heart disease. Everybody will just drop dead of heart disease on their couch, and the computers will just go on. Because as soon as you quit, as soon as an individual human quits producing content on social media, an AI takes over their account.
Yeah, and it's almost like the human element is slowing it down.
Yeah.
It's like it could go ahead and transcend, but you're holding it back.
Right.
And because a lot of news articles are written by AIs now.
Yep.
A lot of, video editing is done by all these things. It's like, if this would be so much better if I didn't have to write it for people to read, I could just digitize it and then we could fly off into the digital ether.
Yeah.
And then at some point there's going to be a choice where you have to choose, are you going to remain in your meat body? Are you going to become ones and zeros?
Exactly. And that's just going to be mass suicide.
But it's probably going to be such a slow, it's going to be like cooking the frog. It's like, well, you already offloaded your laughter and you offloaded your baseball fans. And
your prayers. I mean, it's like there can be a religious internet avatar that prays all day and studies. Like you can, what's that GTP3 or whatever, the new AI thing that everybody's playing with right now. And you can give it a prompt and it'll write like a whole story. And the stuff it's putting out is amazing. So it's like you just train this AI with all your social media activity for the last 10 years. And then you tell it, hey, I want you to be spiritual and pray for me, pray all day and read scriptures and pursue transcendence. And you just float this AI avatar of yourself off into the internet. It'll just keep spinning and you can just die. You can just lay down and die.
But here's the question. What if those prayers began to get answered? That'd be weird.
Well, there's probably some other AI that answers the prayers on the internet, It's like this whole universe has just been created.
What if you made an AI version of you and you send it off to think about religious stuff and it comes back to you like a year later and says, I figured out what you need to do with your life?
People would listen to it.
And then this is like we said last time, things have only begun to get weird.
No, because your AI never talks. Here's the thing. The AI never talks back to you. The AI is you.
Yeah.
So the AI that goes off and finds spirituality or whatever it does isn't going to come back to you and tell you what to do, and you're not going to want it to. You're going to be satisfied that it's out there doing it on your behalf. That's the next evolution of social media, is that it's going to be you for you. You're not even going to have to maintain the fake you anymore. It's going to maintain itself. Watch.
I mean, I think you're right.
I bet within a few months, there's going to be AI services that you can give it the keys to your social media accounts. It'll scrape all your data and all your pictures, and it'll make fake posts. It'll make fake pictures of you in imaginary tropical locations with beautiful imaginary people. It'll just, and you can say, do 3 posts a day. Boop, boop, boop. And you'll keep doing real posts for a while, right? You'll keep, and it'll interact with your other friends on social media. And some of them might be doing it too.
Yes.
You know? Somebody's gonna create this business, and you can rent it for $5 a month. $5 a month. At some point,
you're gonna get tired of running it, and you're gonna have another AI to run your fake AI.
Yeah.
And then, this already exists. There was a thing very early on in Facebook where if you died, it would keep posting for you.
Really?
That you can sign up for that now.
I didn't know that.
And if you die, it will keep. You can tell it things, and it will post things that you pre-scripted, but also post like things it just makes up if you want it to, based on your personality. Like you can have it like where if you were to die, you can say, well, when my son turns 18, post this message from me.
I swear I didn't know about this until right now.
I know, but see, right now it's only for when you die. But why not while you're alive? Why not? Surrogates is going to be real.
Yeah.
And it's going to be creepy. And it's like the implications of these things always work out different in reality than like some guy he brought up the other day, he said about time travel. He said time travel, here's what would actually happen if you had time travel technology that was reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Is it would make the debt-based nature of the economy or of money instantly transparent, because what you would do is he said, and this is perfect. This is exactly what would happen. If you had time travel technology, you would log on to say Pizza Hut, and you'd say, I want a pepperoni pizza. And it would show up instantly because you would be paying them to go back in time to deliver it to you exactly when you wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so things would happen instantaneously. And so you'd say, we'd like to build a new skyscraper. And so then you would pay for it and it would just appear. Poof. Right. Because they'd come back in time and they'd deliver it. But then what would happen is then you'd have to spend, you'd say, well, why can't we spend any money right now? Well, it's because we are currently building the thing that we built 20 years ago. We're spending the next 20 years building the thing we already delivered.
Mm.
And then you think, it makes explicit what money actually is, which is this debt to the future. That would make it explicit rather than implicit. And the same thing happens if you make these AIs, it's like you don't even need to be there. What are you even here for?
Yeah.
We can just make a fake you.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a fake you run the fake you. And then it's just.
And then what do you do? And so what does the person do after they set this up? What do they live for?
Yeah. And then. But this is so
a question if the AI can make better posts of you than you can, if the AI I hire to run my Twitter is much funnier than I am, plus makes a bunch of really great fake photos of me, and puts it up for everybody to be impressed with, and all the other AI bots, give me lots of likes, but when I actually go on there and post something that's really me, it falls flat.
Yeah,
I mean, That's a bad situation to be in.
And then it's like, what?
If I like the AI me better than I like the real me, what if I start believing that the AI is the real me and I'm not real?
this has been the problem people have been wrestling with since mechanization, because the whole question the whole time has been, well, if we can do it better and faster, then why do you need to do it? Like, okay, yeah, you're a craftsman and that's nice, but look, my factory can pump out 100 of them by the time you can pump out one, and we're using machines. And
but my hope there is there are still people out there making handmade shoes.
There are, but increasingly small amounts.
But somebody's still buying them, and they love them.
Somebody's still buying them. That's right. But the market for that is not very large.
No.
And so what does everybody else do? And then you think so then the question has always been, well, if we can replace you, why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
And people have to come up with an answer for that, or they will all be World of Warcraft carriers playing fake baseball on the mother wheel.
Well, this is where Christianity wins, is because we have the image of God in man.
Right.
That is of transcendent and eternal value that cannot be represented or synthesized by any artificial intelligence. Can't do it. It's impossible.
Yeah. But everything else you can fake. And it's gonna be weird.
Right. Yeah. It is gonna be weird.
It's gonna be weird. I think today I'm not even gonna watch a movie. I'm gonna make a fake me to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And he's gonna feel good about it.
And your AI can comment about the movie it watched.
Mm-hmm. And then, and you know what? We won't even watch a movie. We'll watch a hologram of the movie. After it's like, because every time, if you can just, I don't know. It all goes back to the prayer wheel and the mother wheel. It all goes back to the wheels. This is all Black Ezekiel's fault. Black Ezekiel sitting out there in the desert with his Nippon scientists, who was actually a Muslim.
Well, Sumo, we're at an hour 50. We never made our announcements.
Well,
we were supposed to make them at the beginning of the show, so let's make them now, and then we'll wrap. Okay.
Okay. What's our announcement?
So, Expedition 2020.
Right.
To find the ivory-billed woodpecker. We're getting some signups. We're probably going to close the sign-up period down pretty soon. So if you're interested in going, you need to contact us through the website, mapsoc.org. Mm-hmm. And also our journal, the ultimate acronym has been submitted for our journal. By listener Willow, and Willow says that it needs to be spam, which of course is maps backwards.
Yeah, spam.
And I thought that had a beautiful symmetry and a lot of potential for cover art. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so now we need to know what spam stands for the journal.
Everything we came up with wasn't the best.
So somebody needs to.
I think S should be scientific, but I'm not wedded to that.
Right.
Maybe simulacrum.
Yeah.
In the wake of today's discussion.
Maybe. So let us know what spam should stand for.
Simulated people.
And we'll go from there. No, we got to let the listeners name it.
Okay.
You gotta back off. We're gonna let the listeners name it.
Yeah. All of that's false. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was my deep fake.
Okay, well, just shut them up for a minute. It's been a weird one, Sumo.
We're gonna have everything fake. We're gonna have fake wives. President can be fake. Everybody can be fake.
They shot the woodpecker.
We'll just make it. We'll make a hologram. It's fine.
We'll go find the deep fake woodpecker.
Just make a Twitter account of the Ivoryville woodpecker and have him go toot toot. That'll be sufficient.
I'm gonna do that right after we're done.